host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Sponsored by Furniture Plus.
Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Renata Singh, and welcome to Women of Promise. It's a beautiful Tuesday evening. It's a Tuesday afternoon, sorry. Wow, speeding boy. I wanted to be the end of the day really quickly. Maybe it's because I'm a bit tired, you know. Still recovering from having the flu. I know there's this bug going around. Lots of people have the cold and stuff. You all take your vitamin C, take care of yourself. It's have real plenty dust out there. But your health is definitely important, so don't take those little things for granted, yeah? But I'm really excited for today's program. Of course, I have joining me a very special guest, Dr. Cheryl Lewis. She's a psychologist and counselor. And we're going to be talking a bit about boundaries today. Boundaries, respect, accountability. Very, very heavy words from the onset of this program. Because I feel it's sometimes things that we don't often like to discuss. Topics that, you know, it could be a little bit heavy. But Dr. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Right off the bat, I want to ask a question here. What is a boundary?
Okay. Well, a boundary is not necessarily a thing, eh?
Okay.
We know it as, in terms of land, and in Trinidad,
Yes.
we used to use the word, you wouldn't know that word, eh? We used to say a bong.
Now I know that
You
word.
know that word?
Yes, yeah, where your
I'll
bound
check,
is.
Yeah, check your birth certificate. But anyhow, boundaries are limits.
Okay.
Limits that establish what matters most.
Okay.
They help us with our well-being, our values, our
Yeah.
relationships and responsibilities, and they help us know where our responsibilities end
Okay.
and where the other person's begin, and it allows us to interact with respect, clarity, and care. And so it's
Okay.
not just always a thing, but they're neutral when we begin to talk about them. They don't come with values yet. We
Okay.
impose values and boundaries.
That's a really interesting point. We are the ones that set those boundaries. But how do you, if you're in a space for persons listening, how do you set boundaries? What are some of the things that we should be looking for? Because again, there's no rule book. And what's a boundary for you may not be a boundary for me, etc. So what is a healthy way to approach setting those boundaries?
I think recognizing first that we are valuable, all of us.
Okay.
But your value, the way you interpret your value, might be different to the other person. So
Yeah.
respect, I think, is the starting point. We begin to respect other persons, understand the other person, try to understand them before, beginning to judge and to attach labels to people. This person is bad. That person is not
Yeah.
good. I don't need this person around me. Before we do that, we recognize first, and I think from the Christian perspective, we understand that we are all made in the image and likeness of God. And so each person is valuable.
Oh, that's a really tough one.
Yes.
Because let's be real, that sounds really nice. But it's the truth, it's God's word, so we have to stand on that. I'm going to say that from the onset. But it is very difficult to walk that on a day-to-day when you have people to deal with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people may say the same thing, you know, people who may have to deal with us.
With me. And see.
It's difficult. Yes, we are made in the image and likeness of God, but sometimes seeing that in someone who maybe challenging us is difficult.
You have to intentionally do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't come automatic. I remember doing something when I was actively commuting to and from work, and I would look, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, we have a lot of persons who are homeless, some homeless because of mental illness and for other reasons. And I would, on some days, pray for each one that I would see along the
Yeah.
way, recognizing the fact that, this person has a name, because some of them who are on the street for a long while,
Yeah.
you think they don't know you have a name. They have a name.
This is a person.
This a person. When they were born, somebody was so happy for this little baby and hold them up.
Yeah.
And now they're in this situation. They look almost like, like nobody's.
Yeah. And then society kind of
Yeah.
labels them that way.
Labels them. It's only this. It's only. Anytime we
Yeah.
start saying it's only, then it seems to me that we have forgotten the value of the person. Well, that's only a little child.
Yeah.
That's only an old lady. That's only a vagrant. I don't need to. But when we begin to see the fact that they're made in God's image, everybody, even in their dark moments, even when
Yeah.
they have experiencing difficulties, that's God's child. And
Yeah.
God loves them the same way He loves you and He loves me.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it, I mean, just God's love towards us and how he deals with us. It's quite, we really have some nerve
Yes.
approaching other persons like that. Because let's be real, we don't deserve his love or his grace or
We
his
don't deserve
mercy.
anything.
We don't.
We don't.
But yet still, he so freely gives, right? And that when we receive, it's not meant to just stop there. It's for us to
To share.
share with others.
Yeah.
And so again, it's challenging, and you're right, we have to be very intentional in the way that we deal with people. I think it's a testament, so a fruit of our faith walk,
Yeah.
the way that we handle and deal with
It is.
people. And it's so important to have persons around to give us those checks, because let's be real, we're not going to always get it right.
No, the given day, sometimes we forget all about that.
Absolutely. So what do you think boundaries look like? Because I feel like it may look different in different settings. So you may have boundaries with, in your home space and with your children. You may have boundaries in your workspace. Is there a difference in terms of the way that you approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, depending on the environment we're in, depending on the persons or what is around us, the boundaries may look different.
Okay.
I saw one quote says a boundary is a fence, and the values that are, and your values are the house inside of
Okay.
that fence.
So it's meant to protect
Yeah,
your
protect
values.
Your values.
Got
So
you.
we have these values, and we want to put something around
Yeah.
to identify, to part,
Yeah.
so that we know the difference between you and the other person.
Yeah.
In the workplace. We have to set boundaries for what we do at work. A colleague told me that when I just started to work as a young person, I was taking home a lot of stuff to
Yeah.
work with,
Yeah.
because you're enthusiastic and you want
Yeah,
to show how
yeah.
good you are. So I'm taking home work, and she said, "I don't take home any work." I said, "Huh?" She said, "No, I can't bring my laundry here. I don't do my laundry at work."
Okay.
So I need to make that distinction. Work is work,
Home is home.
And so sometimes on the job, when we don't set boundaries, our phone is open all day, all night, and a colleague forgot something on the job, and they call up, "Hi, Renata," and you just, "What time is it now? It's not 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? I finished working at what time?" And that kind of thing. So you set boundaries for where you work. What are the things you allow? And it doesn't have to be in terms of being punitive. And it shouldn't call me. It's not that. It's that we are trying to give our best selves.
Yeah.
The best person you can. Because when somebody calls you, and you're in the midst of something and you really don't want to be bothered, you want to relax, what is normally your response? Because people are seeing you, if you just say, oh gosh,
Yeah.
or something. But you want to give your best self, and so you
Yes.
set boundaries. You say, you shouldn't call me that, and you establish what times we work with that.
I think it's easier, and I use that word very loosely, to establish boundaries on the onset of a relationship,
Yeah.
whether it's professional or personal.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of set in the tone.
Yeah.
But a relationship that's already established, let's say you've been working in this space for a while, or you're friends with this person, or so for a while, and I mean, kind of develop. I don't want to say this word, but I'm gonna say it. You give them bad habits. Let's say, right? Bad habits. It's difficult and sometimes really heavy to have those conversations, and so sometimes the expectation as well from the other party is not healthy. But again, this thing has been going on for a while,
Right.
and it's the norm of the relationship. How do you deal with a circumstance like that?
Your best approach is to deal with things at the onset. For example, I have a little quote here that says, "A river without banks becomes a flood." Right?
Yeah.
And it spreads in any direction because the river just wants to flow, and it causes destruction. So when we don't put anything
In place.
things begin to go wherever. When you go in the middle, you notice now sometimes you have all these issues when we begin to, people back the river,
Yes.
or they put their own boundaries, and then, of course, here, in the
Yeah.
rainy season, what happens. And nobody says what you should do by the river. You can throw your fridge, you do whatever you want to do. And then down the road, the thing begins to flow into people's yards,
Yeah.
carry somebody's house, because there are no boundaries. Think about yourself. When you don't establish boundaries with relationships, with your home, with your friends, you allow a lot of things. And when you begin to try to put a boundary now on,
Yeah.
let's say some river, some little,
Yeah.
you have trouble.
Yeah.
You have real trouble because the thing has already established itself, and it's
Yes.
a custom going that way, and
And wherever it wants to go, kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
almost, yeah.
we feel good when we could do whatever,
Absolutely.
all of us, and I could do whatever I want to do, come to work when I want to do.
But also, I'm thinking about just, I mean, we're talking about it, right? How it affects me as a person if someone does not respect my boundaries, or if I have no boundaries in place, the impact on my life. But then that filters down. Let's just say, for example, you don't establish healthy boundaries in your workplace. It doesn't just affect you, it affects your
Everybody.
family. So there's almost this ripple effect.
And you do damage unintentionally.
Yeah.
When the river flows and goes and breaks down a wall or something, it was not an intention. The river didn't probably mean to do anything like that. But
Yeah.
there was no boundary, so it just went.
Yeah.
And similarly in your own life, when you don't do and you don't set up those nice boundaries with respect and love, 'Cause
Yes.
that's another thing. When we are setting up boundaries, we don't want to make it, what's the word I can use? Maybe a kind of punitive, regimented kind of
Yes.
thing. And so you come in on mornings and you follow a particular rule, and so you can't even smile. You
Yes.
can't do anything like that. You set boundaries with love. Again, we start off by saying it establishes where you end and where the other person begins. So it's not a one-sided thing either. It is not that this is what you can't do with me.
Yeah.
It has to be, this is what I wouldn't like for you to do. This is what you can't do. But then I have to respect you as well. And you may say something and say, well, in my case, this is what I would like or whatever.
Yes.
So it's that
it's a give and take.
give and take.
You have to be willing to not just be the one that, hey, respect my boundaries,
Yeah.
but also be the one respecting other person's boundaries. But we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we continue this discussion. We're talking about boundaries, accountability, and respect. Don't go anywhere.
Woman of Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guest every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Sponsored by Furniture Plus.
Welcome back to Women of Promise. If you're not joining us, I'm with Dr. Lewis. We're talking boundaries, respect, and accountability. Dr. Lewis, let's just say someone that's listening, they're in a relationship, professional or personal, and they have to approach someone to establish boundaries. I mean, if anybody has done this, it is a very difficult thing to do in a personal setting and also in a professional setting, because I mean that conversation could go so many different ways, and sometimes those conversations can be taken as selfish. It's like you're only thinking about yourself and what you want. How can we approach that situation in a way that sort of helps persons see where we're coming from? And like you mentioned some words there earlier, doing it in love and with respect. What are some practical ways we can approach boundary setting with love and respect?
Okay, I think one of the first things we want to do is to recognize the personhood of the other individual.
Okay.
That person exists. That person has feelings. The person, their talents. The person has talent. May not be the same talent that you have.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we tend to decide who is more important than who. Leave that part way to the back. Begin to see that person as valuable. The respect. And I think respect is the first thing. I like beginning to find ways to learn people.
Okay.
I spent a lot of years in teaching, and one of the things I learned early is to get to understand your student.
Okay.
Find out who he or she is. Don't just assume, well, I am coming here to teach you.
Yeah.
You don't know anything.
Yeah.
And that is something that we do. Assume the other person doesn't know. Don't make assumptions.
So don't make assumptions.
Do not make assumptions when you start. You start by, again, recognizing this person. Who are you? Build a friendship.
Okay.
Right? And healthy friendships.
Yes.
Yeah, build a healthy friendship. So you begin to understand who it is you're dealing with. And when you do that, you will hear things. They will, once you get that bond, people will begin to share, and you will hear some of the things that they don't like or that they like. You don't even always have to ask people. Well,
it flows naturally in conversation,
and
yeah.
So you say, and then you share, so it becomes
An exchange,
an
yeah.
exchange between each other, and as you do that, some of the things you don't have to insist; they already exist, and say, "Oh, I know Renata does not like this, and I know Cheryl doesn't like this, or whatever," and you move from that point rather than come with your list of rules, right? And for the classroom, if you start off, particularly if you're teaching high schoolers, and you come with your list of rules, oh boy.
You're telling them what to do, but they're hearing what not to do.
Yes. and they'll challenge you. So
Of course.
sometimes in relationships, not sometimes, I think in relationships we need to learn people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the approach for different people is different. And that's fine. We have to be okay with that. I think in my earlier years, like I'm so old, right? When I was younger, approaching this particular topic, it is still a struggle for me, because obviously, especially with people that you know and you love, you want to make them happy, and there is also the challenge of people pleasing as well. And so you give of yourself a lot, sometimes too much, and it becomes unhealthy. You become unhealthy. The expectations in the relationship becomes unhealthy, and so you're kind of spiraling down. But I feel like that can have a mental impact on our lives over time.
I like the fact you introduced the word self, and immediately triggered in my mind the fact that you need to know yourself.
Okay.
We need to know ourselves. We need to know what our triggers are.
Yeah.
We need to know where our strengths lie. What are our weaknesses? Because we have.
We all do.
Right. And so once you know yourself, you're better able to introduce that self to another person in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Healthy, and that's the word we want to make sure that you introduce the healthy self. You let people even know what are the things that trouble you. And within reason, based on the environment, you share some of your weaknesses. So you're not coming across as a super person.
Yeah.
That, I am
Human, just like you.
Yeah, so you want to make them know, yeah, I'm human.
Yes.
I have issues myself, but
Yeah.
this is how I deal, and then persons would share with you. And that kind of relationship thing, again, boundaries exist properly when there are relationships, when people can know where you are coming from, what are the values. Again, I'm coming back to that word values, because that's deeply embedded in how we set our boundaries.
So we have to be okay with having those vulnerable conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And they're difficult conversations to have. They're uncomfortable conversations to have. And so, yes, a lot of times we avoid having them. But if a relationship is meant to be healthy, boundaries exist in healthy relationships. And so clear communication as well.
Yeah.
So we're talking about having conversations about boundaries, right? It's setting those boundaries. But let's talk about the clarity that's required in those conversations. The why. I'm telling you, hey, I don't like XYZ, but maybe go a little bit deeper, because understanding, I feel, is really important, especially if we're talking on a relational level.
I don't do this. It is not because it's so wrong or it's bad or because I don't like you. I don't do this because this is how it affects me. Sometimes there's some underlying issues that people
Absolutely.
have not been able to
deal with.
And they don't do some things. Gradually, if you have a good bond, a secure bond,
Yeah.
you might be able to find out later down, and you may be able to help or point to help. But understanding the other person and giving them that space to be, giving people a space to be, because sometimes we are all over, and particularly if you're in a situation there's a power difference between you and the other person, you may ignore. You must listen to soft voices. Soft voices. Sometimes people have things to say, but they don't have the strength that you have, or their voice not as loud, and they're whispering, and sometimes figuratively, and sometimes they're not saying anything, but they're whispering the things that are bothering them. But you're busy and you're not hearing, so pay attention to those whispers that people, they come in and you see them do some things, and don't assume that you give a label. This person is moody. This person
Or sometimes people say things like, all of a sudden you change.
Yes. It's not like son, you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, miss some cues, miss a lot, quite.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes when people are going through difficult things, they're not loud about it.
Yeah.
But there are signs.
Yeah, yes.
That's why it's like you're saying, get to know the person.
Yeah.
If you know the person, there are things that you should pick up on. Behavior wise, yeah. But we're gonna go to another quick break. When we come back, we wrap up this discussion. Don't go anywhere.
Woman of Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Sponsored by Furniture Plus.
Celebrate Christmas in July at Furniture Plus. Get up to 60% off on furniture, appliances, smart TVs, and more. Enjoy free gifts and free delivery with select purchases and pay just $1 down on credit plans. Don't wait. Visit Furniture Plus today.
Welcome back to Women of Promise. I'm with Dr. Lewis. We're talking boundaries, respect, and accountability. If you're now joining us, welcome. We're glad that you are a part of this conversation with us today. Before we went to break, we were kind of chatting a bit about just that respect. And I kind of want to go into a different part of that respect, which sometimes involves creating space for people. Sometimes people ask for space, and being on the receiving end of that can be difficult.
And what respect does as well is help us clarify our responsibilities at the home, on the job, wherever. Within a relationship, what are my responsibilities? What are the responsibilities of the other person? And so, once you know that, it helps you to manage resources and don't waste. Even at home, the resources of the things there, when children or persons of the household don't respect each other, you just do whatever, and then sometimes you destroy things that you didn't intend to, and it might be valuable stuff because you weren't paying attention to the other person.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes as well people can start conversations surrounding boundaries as, let's just say someone does something to you, offend you or so. You're not communicating what the offense on the offense end. You're just like, all right, this person did XYZ, I'm gonna put all walls up, and kind of keep them away or keep them out without any explanation, without them having any sort of understanding what happened or what occurred. So it's kind of like more of a like spite almost.
Anywhere, but think of that in a work setting.
Yeah.
And you withdraw yourself, and with that you withdraw some of the things that you could normally do. You're not doing that. Then look at home, you get so upset that you don't speak to people.
Yeah.
You have households where this is
So you're passive aggressive.
Yeah. And you begin to show that I'm not with you all.
Yeah.
I'm not a part of.
Yeah.
etc.
You're communicating it.
Yeah.
You think you're not because you're not using words, but you are definitely communicating it. And I feel like sometimes that's not the best approach. I feel like it leaves so many questions, and can be damaging to a relationship.
Creates conflict.
Correct. Unless because this person is left kind of like, they probably know they did something, but they don't know how it impacted you and how you're processing that. And I get it. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to have these conversations. I keep saying that, but it is. It is hard to have these conversations. But it's necessary.
I have a sibling who, one of the things he says all the time, I don't mind keeping difficult conversations. I don't mind that at all. Always says that. So if he's listening, he knows himself.
Yeah, I think most people aren't like that though.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
that's a gem.
Oh, yes. To be able to keep difficult conversation, think about if you have to tell your colleague something that they would have done, and they do it every morning when you go to the kitchen and you are upset every day, and then you put that painted smile on, but
Yeah.
you really want to tell that person to stop whatever the behavior is.
Yeah, people oftentimes think having these conversations will weaken a relationship, but really and truly, if it's done properly and in a healthy way with the heart,
Yeah.
that's the love, the respect that you spoke about earlier, it strengthens the relationship.
It encourages personal growth as well.
Yeah.
You realize, oh, I can do this without getting angry, without being abusive to the other person, but I was able to talk about it, share about it, and then move on.
Yeah, and I think even on the accountability end, if you're processing a season like this, if you're listening and you're in that space right now and you're not sure what to do, where to go, I think a good thing and a good place to start is possibly talk to a friend.
Yeah.
Process with a friend or someone
Practice.
that's mature. Yeah. Sometimes you need to talk things out before you go into that room with your boss and with all your emotions or your spouse, because sometimes when we're communicating with that level of emotion, it could come off the wrong way, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's I would suggest a responsible way of approaching. But let's talk about what happens when boundaries are ignored. The fallout.
Yeah.
We're talking on the positive end where it kind of goes, it swings in the right direction. We're able to have the conversation.
If you're at work and the lines are blurred between your personal self and your professional self, those are blurred. The line there is blurred and you're not quite sure, the company is not quite sure where you end and where they should begin.
Yeah.
And so you have that. You feel unsafe. You're not able to speak up when you should.
Yeah.
In the home, we sometimes mismanage the resources in the home. Not only physical resources, but even emotional resources. We burden other people without knowing that, because we just assume that these persons have all the time, have
Yeah.
everything, and we don't need to respect their personal space, their personal time, etc. In the church, sometimes we don't, if we don't know what boundaries are, we find ourselves not giving of our best. And the gift that God has given us escapes into thin air. We don't do anything because we're not sure
Yeah.
what we are supposed to be doing.
Yeah, so it impacts so many different areas of our lives. Healthy boundaries creates healthy relationships, and unhealthy boundaries, well, when you don't have boundaries, obviously that causes problems personally and also in a professional setting, and that's something we want to avoid. What are some practical ways, Dr. Lewis, we can avoid the fallout of a relationship? I know initially you said on the onset that's the best, best time, right? But so often we get involved in relationships and over time things kind of go a particular way.
So establish some kind of system where you set aside some quality time just to chat, just to share. Sometimes, you create opportunities for sharing.
Yeah.
Right? And choose well. You don't. And I know I have to talk about personal things. My mother always said she didn't burden. When my dad came home, she didn't as soon as he gets through the door, you see this child, and she didn't do that at all. Even if you had to get a little spanking or so, you didn't get it then.
Yeah.
You know, you had some grace period because
Yeah.
she would wait for him to settle, have something to eat, and then chat about it. So we need to create quality times when you're going to sit and chat with one another.
Yeah.
And I think for us in church, sometimes we don't have enough. We get preached at, and we get into that mood, and we just hear and hear and hear. But we need at times to have this period where people sit down and talk about what's happening and what's happening, the things they like, and you hear it, and they're comfy. And we human beings like a little refreshments when you're doing that. So sometimes you could do something.
Do it over coffee or food.
I have a dream of having church service one day. You know, you come and you sit down around the table, you have something to eat, and the sermon takes place, and we're able to interact and talk back and all of that.
Yeah.
That's my dream, but I'm not a preacher, and I have no intention to be one. But that's my thought.
Oh my gosh. I can remember particular times in my life where I had to approach persons and I've been told, yeah, you know, you're being selfish for having to establish certain boundaries or even accountability.
Yeah.
There is that's an important part, the accountability part of it, where we have to understand in life there are consequences for our actions. And so sometimes we cross a line with people and they have to establish boundaries, and we don't want to understand that. Because again, we like doing what we like, how we like
Everybody
to,
should do
and we
that.
don't like being told how to do it or even being corrected, you know. And so sometimes when we cross lines, it shifts our relationship, the dynamic of a relationship, and that's difficult. How do we navigate and understand, hey, I need to respect this person because, hey, I have to take responsibility for my actions.
Something that I do all the time. You find a time, at the end of the day, I walk back through my mind about some of the things that happened during the day. And at the point in time, you may have done something, you paid no attention to the impact. But late at night, because I'm a night person, you will sit back and say, but you know, I remember saying this to this person, and she didn't respond. I wonder why.
Yeah.
And you begin to think it through. First thing in the morning, or whenever you see that person, say, you know, I did so and so, and then you begin to mend something, because then you hear, well, when you said that, this is what I was feeling, whatever. So I teach a women's class, and we do something called a check-in.
Okay.
So when people come, before I start telling them what the lesson is, I say, what was your week?
Yeah.
So, because people come in and they have all kinds of things on their mind, and you start telling them, and with some punitive lesson, you know, the Lord said you should not. And that was not a hard week. So how was your week? How was your commute coming? Right? I stood up waiting for Maxie for a whole half an hour.
That's the thing. People are coming into the room with different things
issues.
and being aware of it. It helps us even communicate to them better, reach them where they are at.
Yeah.
Same message, it doesn't change what you have to say, but being able, the heart.
They hear you. They say, somebody's listening to me. Somebody knows I'm important in this place. They're asking me how I feel. Yeah.
People like to feel welcome. They like to feel loved. They like to feel like, hey, you know, this person is really interested, genuinely interested in me. And that makes a difference in spaces like that. Community, Community matters. And so we can shift the way that we show up for people. Maybe we've not done it in the best way, but today's a great day to start.
Yeah, you can always
And that's a journey,
make changes and stuff.
That's a journey.
Yeah, it is.
You learn things over time, and you shift and grow. That's part of growth.
I have a little quote that says, think of your boundaries as your personal operating instructions. Right? They simply teach people how to get the very best out of you, out of a relationship. We set them, and it takes courage to do the setting, but maintaining them brings peace.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that you just mentioned there in terms of your day and reflecting, I was just thinking, sometimes at the end of the day, I be overthinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have this and that and the other to do, and you're probably lying on your bed and your thoughts just running. But there's a difference between being reflective and overthinking. And it's good to reflect on things. It helps us be better. It helps us identify the areas where, we could have adjusted and perhaps approached a situation a little bit better. Sometimes even it requires us maybe approaching the person again, hey, to bring some sort of clarity to a conversation. So those things are important.
And don't leave things hanging.
Yeah.
Another thing, don't leave things hanging. Quickly find a way to deal with something that may have been not as you planned it to be, something that might be unpleasant, whatever. Don't leave them hanging.
And I know some people, their excuse is, I'm not confrontational, I don't like confrontation.
It is, healthy boundaries are not the opposite of Christian love. Right? It's not the opposite. So if I'm setting boundaries with you, it's not because I don't love you, not that the love of God is not in me. But actually it's one way of me sharing. Because there are times when we read in the scripture where, the Lord is talking to us about our behavior and stuff, and very stern. But with that, you feel the love.
Yeah.
But I continue to love you. I continue to know. And we have to practice. He's our mentor, God. Christ is our mentor. And we are practicing the things that he did. And continues to do with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Lewis, do you have any closing words for us as we wrap up?
Closing words is that don't ignore the issue of boundaries in any relationship that you get into.
Okay.
Even with your children, small children.
Yeah.
People go to the supermarket with children and then become embarrassed when they do crazy things. So set your boundaries. Don't do it as a bit of punishment. Don't do it when you're annoyed. But do it when we have a nice, warm relationship and we can share reasons, and we let people know who we are, and so it's easier for us to continue to work together.
It's kind of like the concept of like culture. If you think about culture, right?
Yeah.
It should be something that's norm.
Yeah.
Having to come and shift something culturally in a work setting in terms of the relationship dynamic or in your home is very difficult because there's an established norm.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, the onset is the best time.
Best time
To establish those boundaries. But if you're in that space where you have to navigate some difficult conversations, do so with love, with respect, and with clarity. I think if you love a person, and you just mentioned that really lovely quote, boundaries are not the absence of Christian love, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's take that and run with that in a practical sense. This is not just a conversation, a chit-chat. This is something that we have to exercise in our daily walk. It's something practical that we have to do.
It expresses your Christian love.
Yeah. It expresses your Christian love. Dr. Lewis, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lovely conversation, you guys. I'll catch you next week, same time, same place. God bless.
Woman of Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Sponsored by Furniture Plus.
Celebrate Christmas in July at Furniture Plus. Get up to 60% off on furniture, appliances, smart TVs, and more. Enjoy free gifts and free delivery with select purchases and pay just $1 down on credit plans. Don't wait. Visit Furniture Plus today.